Educational Communications and this station present Environmental Directions with Nancy Pearlman. On this series, we explore the effects of human influence on the Earth's ecosystems and discuss solutions to environmental problems which affect the quality of life on this planet. Environmental Directions gives you the kind of information you need to help you participate in decisions impacting your community, the nation, and the world. Now, here's your host, Nancy Pearlman.
Hello. We're going to be talking about eating fruits and vegetables daily and why that's so important both to our health and to the environment with my guest, Duncan Burns. He is the founder and creator of Veggie Dome. He has also formerly been a motion picture editor in sound and a recipient of Emmy nominations and Golden Reel nominations. He also has memberships in the Los Angeles Sustainable Business Networking and the Green Business Networking. Welcome. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you, Nancy.
A Veggie Dome is a container that grows food, or maybe you have a better definition of it.
Well, yes. Think about this, that you can have vegetables out on the table and fruit, except that it always gets wilted because the moisture leaves it. So what happens is instead, the fruit and veggie keeper of the Veggie Dome container keeps the vegetables in an area that the moisture from the vegetables stays with them, and they drink it back through their pores. So it's like literally a cycle of water that comes from the vegetables and goes back. It stays alive.
How big is this dome?
It's 12 inches by 9. One would think it's like a large salad bowl, but it's then flipped upside down is the shape.
So you keep it in your kitchen?
Yes, and actually some people I know keep it in their living room because they could have put where the kids watch maybe the videos, and all of a sudden you can hear them eating vegetables while they're watching their shows or doing their homework. So it generally is in the kitchen, yes.
And as you just mentioned, using that for snacks is healthier than the processed foods.
Very much so. And that's one thing that I've found is that the kids will come and eat crackers or something like that out of a box for snacks, and then about 5 minutes later they're hungry again. But if they actually eat something with substance, like fresh vegetables, carrot sticks and celery and snap peas and things like that, it actually keeps them satisfied for longer, and their energy level doesn't just kind of crash after a while. They have a good amount of energy that takes them through the day.
But some fruits and vegetables have parts that we cannot eat. Shouldn't those be going into a compost bin?
That's a good idea. The container is called a fruit and veggie keeper that Veggie Dome makes, is that you buy the vegetables in the store, and let's say they're still not clean, and you put them in a plastic bag in the fridge. Take those dirty vegetables out, clean them, trim out whatever you don't want to eat, like the stems or the parts that are not going to be eaten, and put what you're going to like into the Veggie Dome and put the lid on, and that's what then is eaten. And yes, the compost that you've then trimmed would definitely be good for going into the compost and being recycled.
I am constantly hearing about new products to make cooking easier or to have an item more usable, more ecological. And yet, do we need one more item in our kitchen?
Well, this is the thing. If you have a Veggie Dome fruit and veggie keeper, if you do, then you're going to be using less plastic bags to keep your vegetables and fruit in. And it really is one thing where as soon as you clean it and put it in there, it can last almost a week. But generally, you're eating it up in the next, let's say, 2 or 3 days, but you're not using different plastic bags to do it. It is just this one container that you have that you reuse over and over again.
Your company, Veggie Dome, is a social purpose corporation of California. Can you explain what that means?
Yes, the Social Purpose Corporation is kind of a new thing in California. What happens is it's not a nonprofit. You can, therefore, sell things and make profit. But part of the bylines of the company is that you're giving back to the community. And as we get larger, we're going to be adding and helping in nutrition, education, and healthy eating exchanges. Really, fruits and vegetables are so good for your body. It's really been proven over and over again, and more scientific journals, that if you eat lots of fresh fruits and vegetables, you actually are healthier for your heart, for not getting type 2 diabetes. So it really does make a big difference. And in America, we're only eating about 10% of the vegetables that we really should be eating, and that's the FDA.
I always have to ask a company that has a new product on the market, which sounds great and maybe what we need. We need to be sure that we have something that helps us eat those fruits and vegetables, as you say, because it's healthier for us. But I have to ask you, how sustainable is the processing of making that product? What is the raw material? What is it made out of? How much energy is used? Is your factory that you're utilizing polluting the waters or polluting the air? Or are you making sure that the whole manufacturing process is clean and ecological and that the workers have decent pay, that there's not inappropriate labor wages?
That's a really good question, and it's also one of the difficult things for our company to take on, especially as we're a small company and we're just trying to fit in and make sure that we can make the product. We're making it out of glass. There is a silicone colander that is on the bottom that keeps the vegetables up above the surface of the plate. That glass really does use a lot of energy, and it is really difficult to make it without getting huge amounts of heat. But we do want to make it so that production or that our manufacturing is going to be done in different areas, different countries, so that the transportation isn't going to be burning so much fuel. It'll be made more locally. So we are looking towards at least making it in local areas so that we're not having to deal with shipping and transporting as much. But the making of glass, I must admit, it uses a lot of energy, but guess what? We're making something that we want to last on your table for the next 5, 10, 15 years.
Glass is a recyclable product. How much of your raw material is from recycled glass?
That's another thing that we're requesting from our suppliers. And you know, even though these suppliers are really using a lot of energy and materials to make it, they are actually getting a lot of pressure from people, even companies like mine, that are saying this needs to be done sustainably, it needs to be done clean, and the people that work for you need to be given conditions and have conditions that are supporting the life of the people that are working in the companies, in their factories. So that is a movement that actually is making a difference in suppliers. They're having to make sure that they're doing that, but that's a slow battle, and it's going to take a while, especially for glass making.
I like the concept of having many different manufacturing sites so that you reduce the transportation factor. Does a factory that produces these, is it large, or can it be small, or can they make other products at the same time?
It is generally better, easier for a larger company to be able to make them in mass production. We're going to be dealing with larger mass production, but on a local level, that we have plans for even having people who are glass craftsmen to work with these fruit and veggie keepers that are part of VeggieDome's line of products, so that they're supporting their local craftspeople who blow glass and make something that is really elegant and even beautiful looking. And those actually will be the ones that will be a little bit more expensive, because they'll be a little bit more like a collector item type of thing, because it can be made with a local glass blowing.
Let's go back to the value of fruits and vegetables in our diet. Sometimes they're grown on mass factory type farms using pesticides. That's not healthy. Organic gardening, organic agriculture, permaculture has benefits because they're growing foods that don't have the toxics in them. Are the people who are growing the food, whether or not they are the large companies or the small farmer, promoting this to help their product stay in the homes and encourage people to buy more of their fruits and vegetables?
Well, we definitely encourage people to have organic fruits and vegetables, and also people that grow them also already in their own vegetable gardens. That actually, this device, the Fruit and Veggie Keeper, what happens is it becomes a focus of the food that you're about to eat or in the next couple of days. So if you've got a vegetable garden, let me tell you, a lot of people grow vegetables and they have tomatoes and things out there, and they don't actively harvest it. So then they spoil out in their garden. So this is a thing where you can pick the fruit and bring your vegetables onto the table. It's part of the focus. The family sees it, and then it is eaten, and kids snack on it, or you make a salad with it. But it becomes the harvested crop that you bring into your house that then is spoiled and eaten when it's sitting out there in your vegetable garden. Now, let me also add that we're going to be reaching out to local farmers, the farm stands that come into town, that they could potentially work with us and coordinate that their product is coming into people's homes. It's not spoiling as much because it's out on the table. People are eating it. If you wash and trim vegetables and put it in the veggie dome, and then you see it a couple times, you end up eating it. And if it's done properly, you're not throwing any food away that you put in it because it's there to be eaten and presented very well with a glass. Now, if we can work with the farm-to-table farmers and delivery, then they will be benefiting because their product isn't spoiling in the household, and the people that are buying those vegetables are benefiting because they're not throwing as much food away from the table.
How is a company like yours working with nonprofit organizations that are trying to deal with the food issue in this country and nutrition issues in this country? How are you working with the food banks? How are you working with those groups that are feeding the needy? How are you working with the organic agriculture organizations and coalitions to get them to adopt another product to be used with their items?
Well, that's one of the things that we're also projecting as we grow. We want to work with the communities in what's called the food deserts. And the food deserts are where you are in areas there's no real good fresh grocery store. There's really no good place to get food that is good for your body as opposed to something that is just whipped up, the processed types of foods that are out there that are full of grease and salt and not really good for your body, when fresh vegetables and fruit immediately are good for your body. Now, how can you have that? Well, the Fruit and Veggie Keeper is going to be out on tables, and we're going to be involved with programs that will be providing them at either no cost or low cost, so that, again, it becomes a focus for the household that, yes, this is where the fruit and vegetables are kept. It's out on the table, you eat it, and you then don't eat some of this food that isn't good for you, or you feel satisfied with the fact that you've got fresh vegetables and fruit as part of your daily life, and it improves your health and your energy level, and it just is so much better on the long term. So we're going to be addressing the food deserts as a container or a step forward towards this is how we're going to be seeing it more within your daily life so that you eat it more and it becomes something that kind of, I really have this philosophy that if you eat good stuff, you don't feel as much craving for the bad stuff.
It's so important for our health to eat well and to be sure the food that we eat is healthy. But how does this product help the environment?
Part of it is that it does, in fact, cut down on some of the waste that takes place in the kitchen. We're throwing away 40% of our fresh fruits and vegetables from our kitchens in households across the United States. That is a cost of $110 a month that people are buying in the store and wanting to eat healthy, but then throwing it away. So how does it do that? Well, if you actively use the Fruit and Veggie Keeper, it keeps the vegetables fresh for 5-6 days. Sometimes the lettuce can be in there for over a week and a half. But what happens is you eat it from this. If you're actively doing it, you're not throwing any of the food away that you are putting in there. Now, there's going to be some waste. There's going to be some things that might go bad. Everything's got its own little timer. You can put strawberries, you can put berries, but if you do that, you just have to be actively eating it. A part of the rhythm of it is that it's a flow of food. It's motion of food that's coming through your household, but it's out visible on the table. So to answer your question more, the waste of food is wasting resources from the watering of it to the bringing of it to the store and then bringing it to your home. All of those resources are wasted every time you're throwing away, a head of lettuce that got spoiled. So there are actions or ways in which you can use this new tool to be better or more sophisticated with how we're handling this very delicate type of source of food, fruits and vegetables that do spoil. And they will spoil. They spoil in the field, they spoil in the store, but once you get it home, at least that's in our control in some way, that in your household you can have a little bit better way of handling these delicate things.
Thank you so very much for caring about our food and how it helps us both for our health, for ourselves, and for the environment. Thank you for being my guest.
I appreciate it, Nancy. This has been great.
I have been speaking with Duncan Burns, who is founder and creator of Veggie Dome. I'm Nancy Perlman. Thank you very much for joining us, and do tune in again next week.
If you would like free information about these environmental issues, go to www.ecoprojects.org or call 310-559-9160. Environmental Directions with your host, Nancy Perlman, is a community affairs program of the nonprofit organization Educational Communications and this station.